Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Taurus energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Taurus energy. And the bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy, because we've all got free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And some people could be debating within themselves. They're kind of going back and forth. The bottom row can represent our comfort zone. You know, to move forward in life a little differently is a little scary. Plus, I might have friends or family members and jobs and relationships that I'm in. Maybe if I move forward a little differently, maybe those people won't like it. Or maybe I wouldn't hang out with them anymore. I wouldn't do certain activities or something, right? And so some people are still debating, and some other people have picked a path, or they're at that stage in life, and some people chose to move forward a little differently, and some people could have decided, I don't feel the need to yet, and we all have to listen to our intuition and what's best for us at a given moment of how we feel and how things are going, to decide to move forward differently, or we're okay putting again work and effort at where we're at. So this story could be something particularly that Taurus energy is working with, and Taurus energy is earth sign energy, and it has to kind of do with our philosophy of life. And in our Taurus energy, it can be about stability and security and kind of luxury or status or image. And more high vibe Taurus can be really walking the talk, and when's enough, and I want to balance. I want these things of the world, but I also want jobs I enjoy and friendships that I enjoy, and making decisions from truth and love. And you know but we all tap into Taurus energy, so it could be uh affect us all. And if in our Taurus energy we have a certain philosophy of life, we, because in our free will, we can be more about truth and love as the deciding factor, or we can be more about ourself or the world or the ego or the image or the indulgence or something or the status. And, to move forward with people, we kind of need to have the same truth. With maybe a more romantic relationship, we can have all sorts of people in our life that we get along with, that we work with, that we're friends with, and you know everybody can be different. But if you disagree at a core foundational level about your perspective of life, and kind of what you think is just and fair, is going to be a problem. So let's go look at the bottom row. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Seven of Pentacles, and I view the sevens as kind of the tipping point. We're either a little bit more about these things of the world that we want to manifest, or ourself, whatever, or we're more kind of in favor of having kind of more hope and faith and belief and love. And we've all been there, because we all grow up in the world, and we grow up, this the seven Taurus energy can talk about all these different relationships in our life. And we have our family, we have our community, we have our state, we have our country. All those things kind of impact our Taurus philosophy of life. And it's our Taurus nature kind of within us that is the decision maker. We've kind of debated within ourselves. I view Taurus as being like the Supreme Court in our own head. And for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we can be someone who's motivated and inspired by love, but we're pretty caught up in the world. There's a lot of things in the world that we want to manifest for ourselves, that we might want to go indulge in. We have these ways of viewing life that could be things that, a lot of those things we think were kind of indoctrinated in us by our family and our community and our state and our country and all that stuff. And we've got to go on this journey of learning all these lessons in life and coming in contact with all these different people to really help us get more clear about what our more authentic truth is. And for a long time, we can make our life more about conforming to the world because in our more worldly nature, we do want people to kind of like view us a certain way, and we want people to be in friendship and relationship, and Taurus is about all those things. And so it can take a while in our life before we're really, really ready to stand in our own truth, even if that means, and that's the reason for the top rose reading is the Six of Wands, of standing up for my truth in, again, letting everyone have their philosophy of life, invest their time, energy, and effort into things they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into, make their life about whatever they want to make their life about. But some people eventually, in their fire sign energy, kind of get inspired to make their life more than, but you kind of have to have a certain amount of life experience probably to no longer want to make your life more about some of those things that you used to. You get more inspired to want that there's more. And high vibe Taurus is there's a higher meaning, a higher truth and justice to aspire to than just about me and just about these things of the world or the ego or the image or the status. And sometimes maybe we have to have that stability within ourselves for us to be able to focus on the next chapter, right? And so some people might be more focused on trying to have that stability and security in their life, and that, and again, everybody's at different places within their life and on different journeys. But some people will never get out of making their life more about themselves or these things of the world, because that's their truth. And those are the most important things to them. And they're not inspired in their fire sign energy. I don't want to do life any different. I want to do this, And the shadow row can represent how even when we've kind of learned what we needed to learn at a phase of life, and even though it maybe we know we could be doing certain things more out of fear of doing things differently, some people are like, nope, I'm not going to do things differently anyway. I don't care. I don't care. You know, shadowy earth sign energy can kind of get boring. It's the same thing. But some people are like, but that makes me feel safe and secure. And if I were to do things differently, that's unknown territory. I've never been there before. I just want to stay here. And everybody has the free will to do that if they want. We have the Two of Wands, the Page of Cups, the Ego, the Four of Wands, or the Four of Pentacles, and the Two of Swords. So, the Two of Wands, it's kind of funny because the Two of Wands is Aries and the Two of Swords is Libra, and Aries and Libra are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. So, the opposite zodiac sign of Taurus is Scorpio, and a more shadowy Scorpio energy can be being a little more caught up in things in the world, a little more superficial and shallow. And again, in our fire sign energy, that's what all of us probably initially, for again, the first 30, 40 years of our life, are pretty caught up in. But we kind of go out to the edge in things to kind of, because we have to learn like how far is too far. And then we might kind of realize, wait a minute, in the Two of Swords of my Libra energy, I might have gotten a little tipped out of balance. And the Two of Swords can talk about being in denial of the truth. And we can be kind of tipped out of balance, which is what the bottom row can talk about. I'm more tipped in favor of being about me or these things of the world. Maybe instead of being inspired to have more hope and faith and belief in myself or in love, or not making my life so much more about these things of the world. And underneath the Seven of Pentacles is the truth. But then we have the Hermit card, which, sometimes we have to go within to kind of get clear about what really is my truth. I look at life a certain way. I view myself, I view the world, I view other people. I have these certain ideas about what is like just and fair. That also is Libra energy of the Two of Swords. That I think that's just and fair. But they can see other people in the world live their life differently. And so then some people might wonder, well, why are those people more inspired to not make their life more about themselves or these things of the world? Well, because those people, something about living their life a certain way made them feel stuck, is what the Two of Swords can talk about. And some people don't like feeling stuck or kind of going back and forth within themselves. They want to get to the truth. And so then in the Hermit Virgo energy, they do this work within themselves. I need to get clear about my truth. And sometimes that can be, I have these ways of viewing myself, viewing the world, these things that I think are right or wrong or just or fair or valuable or invaluable or praiseworthy or not praiseworthy or whatever. But am I living my more authentic life? High vibe energy is freeing yourself from things that manipulate you to live your authentic life from truth and love. I want to go out in the world and I want to treat other people the way I want to be treated. I want to treat people in a just, fair, loving way, being authentic, not being caught up in, well, I have to look a certain way or I have to act a certain way. Won't people only want to it's putting all that work and effort into that stuff can be kind of like trying to manipulate people, right? And we might not even see how, in a way, it is kind of trying to manipulate people. And so just being authentically ourselves, but we have to get comfortable within ourselves in high vibe Six of Wands of Leo energy to be more authentically myself and kind of, look through these different philosophies of life. It's like, who put this one there? Did that come from Uncle Bob or Aunt Sally or my mom or my dad or my eighth grade teacher or that mean kid in school or, all these different philosophies of life that we have and that we could even have about ourselves or what we believe is possible. Where did I get all those? And I want to look at those. And that's what the Hermit is about. I'm going to shed light. I'm going to look at those things. I'm going to look at those different truths that I have that kind of make up this definition of myself and why I live the life I do and why I make the choices I make and why I hang out with these people and not those people, why I'm attracted to those people, not those people, and just really trying to get down to the truth of maybe in high vibe Leo, what really inspires me and motivates me, what makes me feel like I'm living my authentic truth versus trying to put on a show or hiding my truth or, because all of those things that we kind of invest in or make our life about could kind of cover up our authentic truth that we might keep hidden. Do we want to keep hiding our truth and not living our authentic life? Because it's more important for people to view us a certain way and have a certain status and image. Well, if you want to do that, you can. You know, in our fire sign energy, you know, we wanted to work together with other people, is what kind of the Four of Wands or the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles can be. The difference between the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles is the Three of Pentacles, which can be about working together with other people. I want, in the Page of Cups, in my ego, my want for these things, to be in a relationship with other people. But we might not have learned, that we could have been doing it more because I want. And kind of our shadow nature can be, I want people to invest in me and love me. And so then when you go out in the world, that can kind of be the driving factor behind it. But if we had learned to be inspired to offer love to our worldly egoic nature, to invest in our self and like love ourself, that we feel more balanced within ourself, then it isn't necessarily to go out because I want. Um, it's more, I understand I have these things and I want to get along with other people, but other people are looking for people to get along with. And it's not just about me. That can be shadowy energy. It's a little bit more about me and what I want. And it's not just more about me, but there are some more shadowy people in the world that it really is just more about them. And the whole thing is, as we go out in the world to get to know other people, we can't stay in denial, which is what the Two of Swords can talk about, that some people might present themselves as having a certain status or image or emotional maturity or something about them, right? That can make them seem to be someone that other people don't want to be in relationship with. But sometimes some of those people are hiding the truth about themselves underneath the surface. And so then, we all can have our truth, which is kind of the foundation we operate from. And we can tend to think other people operate from that same foundation. But ever since we've been small children, we have known, you know, immature, bossy, controlling, bullying, manipulative, egotistical, self centered people. And there's no new thing under the sun. We kind of repeat these patterns because we're dealing with human beings that have free will, that are at these different stages of emotional maturity and truth. People just get better at hiding it. But, you know, if you were someone who kind of was inspired to grow up and mature yourself and, you know, kind of invest in tempering your own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs. We all got some of them, but, kind of doing your best to maintain balance within yourself, not to act in a more bossy, controlling, immature, manipulative type of way, because you kind of have learned some of these lessons in life, right? That you could think as you keep going through life that other people are doing that. But some people, that they didn't learn that lesson. It was just that, oh, kind of like if I don't hide the truth of who I am, I've just got to hide it. And so they didn't really see kind of how it wasn't just and fair. The Four of Pentacles can talk about holding back. They want to be in a relationship with other people too, but they kind of have this foundational way of viewing life, which is still kind of more about, well, harnessing these in a more shadowy way, just like we all did at one point in time. Aries energy is about the self. The Page of Cups is kind of emotionally, we're pretty invested in ourself about, our fears, our insecurities, our want for people to like us and whatever. And we can kind of be a little egocentric, especially, when we're young and we don't understand maybe why everybody isn't revolving their life around us. And some people kind of stay in that, operating from that foundation. And they hold back, because that's what the Four of Pentacles can talk about. They hold back from getting more balance within themselves. So they keep staying tipped out of balance, kind of hiding that they are kind of more immature and more self-focused secretly. But in order to get other people to work with them, they learn to kind of present themselves. I'm going to invest in trying to present myself as a more balanced person so other people will work together with me. But I'm going to hide the truth that secretly I really am still, because I didn't want to see the truth. That it isn't just more about me, and it shouldn't be more about me. You know, if I'm going to work together with other people, they have their dreams and aspirations, and I have my dreams and aspirations, and they kind of have their truth, and I have my truth, and then we're supposed to work together, being inspired to move away from our more egoic, self-centered, or immature, or bossy, or controlling, or more about our self nature, to work together with people inspired by love. But some people, they are kind of more inspired to be more about them. And so, as we go on this journey of meeting all these different people in the world, it can be hard for us to want to accept that truth because we don't like to think of people being just more selfish or greedy or manipulative or controlling or just all more about themselves in a way. But the truth is, some people are. And until we have kind of incorporated that truth into our decision making, we're probably going to keep repeating a certain pattern. And we'll probably keep having people who are trying to, basically, is trying to get us to see the truth. The Virgo Hermit is about seeing the truth. But sometimes we don't want to see the truth. And we can have people in our life that we don't want to see the truth about. Well, we can keep getting in relationships with people, and we could be drawn and attracted to certain people, and certain people could be drawn and attracted to us. And it's all for our good benefit for us. Because high vibe energy represented by God at the big picture, shadowy energy at the big picture is kind of represented by the devil. All these things that kind of manipulate and control us wants us to see the truth because the truth sets us free. But we have to get out of our ego to admit that, in a world of duality where people have free will, for every person on this side of the free will, somewhere on the spectrum of kind of more motivated and inspired by love and justice and fairness and treating other people the way they like to be treated, there's equally as many people on the opposite side. And like just like when we've been more immature in our life, kind of like we weren't kind of staying between the bumper guards of life because we were like, woo, and we were going on the extremes to learn these lessons in life. And then there was other people in the world that were hopefully more stable, more grounded, more balanced, more mature than we were. And people can come up out of the ditch of kind of being more caught up in certain things that they can be caught up in. Well, some people are kind of going down the road of life. Uh, you know, pride comes before the fall, and some people like, oh, I would never, and that can be the very thing that starts to drift them off into the ditch because we always have to keep focused on putting in work and effort to stay focused on truth and love because our own shadow nature. There's a verse in the Bible that says the devil prowls around like a lion waiting to see who it can devour. Our own shadow nature, if we get kind of caught up in our pride and ego, it can drive our life off into the ditch and we can stay in denial of the truth of it. We don't see how we're kind of being shadowy Taurus can be stubborn, prideful, egotistical. I have this certain status and image, and that becomes more important than truth and love and working more cooperatively with people. And everybody kind of could have their blind spot that they don't want to see the truth of. And it can just be that maybe they're immature at times, or more codependent, or want people to be more codependent on them. And a shadowy Taurus relationship, which anybody can have, can be where it is either kind of more transactional. If I have more status, image, clout, attractiveness, social clout, whatever it is that people think they have that's of value that other people want, that if they get in a relationship with someone who wants that and values that, well, then they get to be the more privileged person in the relationship. You're more codependent on them. And some people like those kind of relationships, and that is how they view relationships. And they don't want to be the one who has to be the one to indulge someone else. Some of them. Some of them might think, well, if someone had that, I certainly would. And that's why I think it's just unfair for these people to indulge me, because I have more of these things. So therefore, I'm the one who deserves to be more deferred to. Love is supposed to be just and fair. You appreciate what everybody brings to the table. And it's all important to the whole. Some people could have a really hard problem seeing the truth that that is how they view relationships. And some people could have a hard time seeing that they like people to be codependent on them, but in turn, those people are codependent on other things and people, their own ego nature, other people in their life who live their life like that, the world at large viewing them a certain way, and they don't want to see how those things manipulate them. And there's some people in the world right now that would like to maybe make an offer to someone, or the Page of Cups can mean apology, but the Page of Cups can also mean just getting to know people, small gestures. But then they kind of get up in their head or their ego, and then they hold back and they don't listen to their intuition. And there could be people that they would like to invest in that they could kind of think, I think your truth is kind of like my truth, but maybe, let's see. They could be fearful. This is the Queen of Pentacles. I also view that as Taurus energy. Some people could feel that other people are more emotionally mature than them, and they could feel like they're not as emotionally mature, that you're more stable or grounded than them. Maybe that you want a more formal, emotionally mature relationship than maybe a little more immature relationship. And some people could want the Queen of Pentacles, and Taurus, again, can represent all these institutions of the world. There'd be people who maybe could see some people that seem to maybe have justice, and they'd kind of like to maybe work there or be friends with those people. And they think about it, but then again, they can get, the ego. The feminine figures can talk about listening to our more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, intuitive nature. The male figures can kind of represent how we can kind of get in our worldly, egoic nature. And we battle within those two. And then some people, and the Two of Swords can talk about being stuck. Some people, really battle within themselves about, how do I want to move forward? Do I want to move forward with people who seem to be, the pages can represent in high vibe that people are being authentic and vulnerable and honest? people who are more authentic, who've done this inner work, who have emotionally grown and matured themselves, I don't know, because if I move forward with them, they want me to do that too. And instead, I could get in a relationship with someone who's kind of more on the same page as me, who maybe also maybe wouldn't require that of me. And we could move forward and work together, and we'd not neither of us would have to do that work. And we'd never have to more emotionally grow and mature ourselves. So, we've all went on these journeys in life. We've all dealt with different people in the world. We could have dealt with some people that were very balanced, very stable, very nurturing, very authentic and loving and encouraging. And when we were in relationships with people like that, we did it provided an environment for us to kind of heal and grow and mature ourselves. And we could have been in more immature energy. And then we can get in relationships with other people, and they can be more selfish or competitive or immature or stubborn and want us to keep being in friendship, relationship, or stay at that job. But it is kind of more about, shadowy energy represented by the devil of the big picture is kind of feels oppressive and confining and limiting and restrictive and imprisoning, and like you can't really shine your authentic light, or they don't really want to encourage you to really love and believe in yourself, because they can like kind of a mismatched power dynamic where I want you to look at me a certain way and view me a certain way, which is always like above you. And I might want you to heal and grow and mature yourself some, but not so much that you kind of get on the same page as me, because then the teacher would have to become the student. And that's when, if that happens in a relationship, and some people do this work within themselves, and they kind of grow and heal and mature themselves, and they offer truth and love and encouragement to the people they're in a relationship with, well, then some of the people, it kind of puts it back on those people. Well, gee, I might have wanted you to heal or grow and mature yourself and work through some of your inner conflict, because the ego, I guess I'm kind of thinking of it as a 5 of Wands now. I didn't think in the 6 of Wands that you were going to invest in getting balance within yourself, and kind of having in the Page of Swords can be Libra and Aquarius and Gemini, kind of having hope and faith and belief in yourself and in your dreams, and kind of emotionally growing and maturing yourself to such a level that now I have work to do within myself to keep moving forward with you in a relationship, because you're kind of ready to move forward in life differently. And I still might have inner conflict about doing that or listening to my intuition. And so again, some people could, in some relationships that they're in right now, sometimes in any relationship, we can be kind of on the same page. We're at whatever age of life or stage of life or job, and everything can seem to be going along fine. But then it does kind of get to where, we're at that crossroads, and it can be, I kind of view the 5s and the 7s as these kind of crossroads in our life and in our relationships. Like, we start out, we could be excited in something new. We could work through some, you know, the first hump. Are we going to keep moving forward? Are we going to keep moving forward in this? And then we get to the 7, and then it's like, okay, well, now we have to decide if we're going to keep going. At what point in something that I've invested in, you know, how are things going? Do we want to keep investing in it? Do we not? Does one person seem to have worked through their inner conflict and listening to their intuition and kind of tipping more in favor of ready to go to the next phase, and the other person's like, you know, and everybody has to listen to their intuition and probably about the truth. Is this really aligned with my truth or isn't it? And hopefully, everybody would do some inner work, and the people who are like, nope, I want to keep doing this. Well, then the other people are like, okay, and they're probably going to move forward. Because with the ego card now, the Five of Wands, which can be that we have this inner conflict, again, one person could want to keep moving forward the way they've been moving forward, and the other person could start to feel like, if I keep moving forward in this way, I know I might be doing it in the Four of Pentacles, maybe out of fear that I don't want to let go of this, but it might be more because I have fear of letting go of it from the 4 to the 7, kind of taking back the 3 of Pentacles, that I'm not going to work there anymore or with those people. And for one, if I decide to do that, I'm going to have to speak my truth about it. And I might have to take quite a bit of time to work through the thought of speaking my truth, that I think I don't want to keep moving forward in this. But eventually, it causes so much inner conflict that, and the relationship can get a little stuck and stagnant, where people, the Four of Pentacles, can talk about how people really aren't opening up. Again, your truth of how you want to move forward. After the Four of Pentacles is the Five of Pentacles, and the 5, the 6, and the 7 are all Taurus energy. Your philosophy of life is different than my philosophy of life. What I think is just and fair is different than what you think is just and fair. What I view in my Four of Pentacles is Capricorn, kind of how I view life and what I kind of think is victorious and successful, and kind of what drives and motivates me. And I might be more competitive in the world, or I might want to work more on my career, and someone else kind of wants me not to necessarily make that the main focus, but a balance or something. And some people, we could definitely see how something like that could happen with younger people, where they're just getting started and like, gee, I really want to put this work and effort to get this foundation of my career established. But you can be in relationships with people or married and still do that, right? But some people could have more conflict about doing that because they really, and maybe some people in their career field, it's, they could know how demanding it is, and it's like, I don't know if you realize how demanding it would be, and it really is going to take a lot of my focus. And some people might decide to forego some more involved relationships. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married through the deck. Some people could just have inner conflict about getting in a more formal commitment, that, if things keep going, it's the beginning stage, and it's kind of like, what's my intuition say? Do I think we're on the same page? Aren't we on the same page? And some people in our friendships, our workplaces, our family, with some of those people, we're all continuing to move forward together. We're all kind of willing to listen to our intuition. We're cooperatively accept the truth that everybody can have their differences, but together we all still want to work on maintaining those friendships and those relationships. And some people could decide, I think I'm going to let you folks go on ahead. Or I found out this isn't really aligned with my truth, and you might want to move forward in a certain truth or way of viewing life, or things you like to invest your time and energy that you enjoy, and I might want to move forward with something different. Again, there's all the spectrum of what people could be doing in high vibe energy. And then there's some people that is like, that's not my truth. That is not what drives and motivates me. And really, I am kind of more, even though I might not want to see it myself, I really am kind of more about me or more about these things of the world. And I might hide that I'm emotionally more invested in making my life more about these things of the world. And, in that Seven of Pentacles, people are either tipped more in favor of the underlying factors, more about them or these things of the world, and other people, the underlying factor, it's a little more driven and motivated by love. Like, I'm not going to stay in a job that I keep hating just because of the status or the ego or the image. Other people can do it. And I was like, again, you have to make these choices in life. And some people are like, that's too much to sacrifice. And other people are like, I'm willing to sacrifice those other things for these things. And other people are like, well, that's your truth. I see that's your truth. I wish you peace. I've gotten out of my ego about it. You have your truth, I have my truth, and we're on different pages. And just like some of you had to go through making some of those decisions in your life, and some it could have been someone you did want to marry, someone you wanted to be in a long-term friendship or relationship with. They could have been someone in your family member or something like that, or someone you did marry, whatever. Um, Sometimes there comes a time where it's like, and then some people are quite immature, more about themselves, very kind of competitive, very stubborn. And it's like, you know what? I wish you peace. And I'm going to go hang out with some different people. Whether you're my brother or my sister, my adult child or my parent, or a friend I've had for a long time or a coworker. If at one time we were kind of on the same page, then something, when it got to a certain stage, it kind of seemed like we were on different pages. High vibe people also offered truth and love to it and to themselves. And they also weren't willing to stay in denial of the truth. There is something going on. And some people could have told their truth, some people didn't. Your intuition told you, you listened to your intuition. Because your intuition was given to you as a gift to help you navigate in this world. That if you feel people are kind of being kind of stubborn or bossy or immature, you kind of might have a hard time wanting to see the truth of it, because then you'd have to take action on it and you really don't want to. And you could keep hoping, let's just hope things just kind of balance out over time, but maybe things keep not balancing out. And sometimes the more immature, shadowy people or bossy or whatever they are, they kind of count on that. I hope you'll just stay in denial of the truth and you'll just keep hoping things will get better. And I'm so glad you keep staying in denial of the truth, because this works for me. You keep investing in me and working with me and staying at this job, in this friendship, in this relationship the way it is. It works for me. And the more, eventually it's just like people can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. And they do speak their truth. I think you are maybe being bossy or controlling or immature, or I don't have to say anything. I just need to let you know that I think I'm going to move forward a little differently. Because if they're not willing to speak the truth or see the truth, it'd be kind of be like talking to a brick wall. So let's go up to the top row. We have the Four of Swords and the Balance card. So the Four of Swords comes after the Three of Swords, which is having some heartbreak. And here we have the Two of Swords plus adding the one sword to it. And again, what do we do when we feel stuck? Some people invest in being immature and kind of hiding their emotional truth. Other people feel stuck. They get inspired to put in work and effort to do this inner work to get kind of clear about their truth. High vibe people invest in truth and love. They offer truth and love to the people they're in a relationship. The other people still have inner conflict about seeing the truth and don't want to see the truth that maybe they would benefit from doing that. And then the other people in their life see that there are these things that they don't want to deal with or see the truth of. And it's heartbreaking, and everybody can feel heartbroken. But the high vibe people are inspired by love. They don't want to stay in competitive energy. They don't want to stay in heartbreak. They don't want to stay stuck. They don't want to stay in denial. And so they do this work and effort to free themselves. And they accept the truth and they heal. And the balance, so two cards of like getting balance within yourself, because the Four of Swords, like the Two of Swords, is Libra energy. I want to feel balance within myself. I don't want to be more tipped out of balance. I don't want to be in a more tipped out of balance relationship. I don't want to be in a more transactional relationship. I don't want to keep indulging in my more immature or worldly or codependent, whatever kind of energy. I don't want to be in relationships if I had certain habits or patterns that I don't want to do anymore. I probably don't want to hang around people who are doing some of those certain habits and patterns. Can I hang around them to a degree and be friends with them? But am I going to go do those things? No. If somebody had things like that they needed to deal with. And then the balance card. So it talks about two cards of balance here. And the balance card is also Sagittarius fire sign energy, which shadowy Sagittarius can just be that we were in more immature energy and we had lessons to learn. And we went on a journey to learn some of these lessons. We kind of saw what was aligned with our truth, what wasn't aligned with our truth. We offered truth and love to people. If that wasn't their truth, we wished them peace. And High Vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education and wrapping your brain around this game of life. Can I be attracted to people? Could I wish these things would work out the way I want? Yeah, but I can't keep staying in denial of the truth that their truth is different than my truth and what they think is just and fair, or even holding back from being just and fair. How can I have my dreams come into reality if somebody doesn't want to be just and fair? If someone is more about themselves, if someone's more prideful or competitive or more about the ego or image, and that's why they want to be in a relationship, but I want to be inspired by love. So they wrap their brain around this game of life. And in the Seven of Swords, they stand up for what kind of motivates and inspires them, how they want to move forward in life. And the other people are going to stand up for their truth and what they're motivated and inspired by and what they view as victorious and successful. And it's just kind of realizing your truth is different and what motivates and inspires you is different. And then we have the Six of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy. From the 7 down to the 6, again, it's like seeing that truth. In High Vibe, the pentacles can mean like truth and love, and like, what's your truth? What's my truth? And realizing High Vibe, the Six of Pentacles is about balance, and High Vibe energy is about balance. And love is to be just and fair. And some people kind of have a different idea about what they think relationships should be about and their idea of what they think is just and fair. And so you get inspired to do this work to maintain balance within yourself, to keep being inspired to stand up for your truth. I do come in contact with all these different people to help me get clear about what my truth is and my truth isn't. And some of the people in my life I'm still moving forward with, and we're maintaining balance. Do we all think the same or invest in our time, energy, and effort into all the same things and view life the same? No, but we're motivated and inspired to still work together with each other from a core foundation of love for each other. And we work to maintain balance in the relationship. And we're all motivated and inspired to keep moving forward, probably not repeating some poor past patterns. Because we all have people in our life that we've dealt with, especially with our family. that, we could try to be more immature or bossy or controlling or get in our ego or competitive nature. And it's like, that isn't conducive to this moving forward in a more balanced, loving way. So everybody kind of takes responsibility for tempering their more egoic nature to conduct themselves in a more balanced, loving way so that it keeps moving forward successfully, is what the Six of Wands could talk about. And the Six of Wands is the reason why the top rose reading came out. And we could harness our, just like all these other zodiac signs I mentioned, but it could have been people in particular. We're either more motivated and inspired in our fire sign energy of self, more by us, because shadowy Leo is the ego, or these things of the world, or things we like to indulge in to make ourselves feel better. Instead of healing, getting balance within ourselves, standing up to our more immature, shadowy nature to heal and grow and mature ourselves to keep moving forward in life. And some people are like, I have no interest in ever doing that. And some people also don't ever want to be more authentically themselves. In their Leo nature of self, they could be more about competing in the world and making their life more about these things of the world, and maybe always operating from their more egoic defensive nature, where they keep their more authentic, insightful, emotionally mature nature. They don't get to come out to play because their ego nature kind of runs their life. With our dualistic nature, our more hopeful, believing, loving nature is kind of in the driver's seat of our life, or our more egoic nature. And some people haven't worked through their inner conflict about kind of listening to their intuition to invest in kind of loving themselves, being like a good mother, father, coach voice to themselves, to believe that they deserve to live their more authentic life and not kind of let their ego or their defensive nature or this mental construct of the type of person that they present in the world as being. It's kind of like their authentic nature gets to look out through the eyeballs, but their more egoic nature is running their life. And some people, I don't want my more immature nature. I don't want my more prideful nature. I don't want my, I don't want that running my life. And those are the people who get inspired to do this work to heal from past pain and heartbreak, fears, insecurities, learn to love and believe in themselves, that I don't want my false self living my life. I want to get the justice I deserve. And that takes work and effort. Again, the difference between the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles is the Three of Pentacles, which is also Capricorn energy, but shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. I have to put in, so high vibe Capricorn would be putting in work and effort within yourself to offer love to all your fears and insecurities that cause you to hold back from getting the justice you deserve. But it takes work and effort to do this work within yourself to, I deserve love. Everybody else in the world can be belittling and berating and bitchy and witchy and whatever. I don't have any control over those people. But I'm the manager of my life and I'm my only client. I need to start playing that role of emotionally being a loving, nurturing person to myself. Or these things are going to keep manipulating me, or I'm going to keep looking for other people to love me. And I go out there in the world looking for someone to love me, and I'm not in a more balanced, high vibrational nature. And there's all sorts of people like, hey, look at that person. Oh my goodness, that person seems to be a very insightful, loving, nurturing person. But oh my gosh, they have not learned to appreciate and value themselves. That's high vibe Virgo. Let's go get in a relationship with them. They seem to have inner conflict about knowing their worth and value. Let's hold on to that person. We don't want them going anywhere. But they can be kind of shadowy. A little bit more about themselves and how it's good for their ego and their image. And they're glad that you haven't learned to love and believe in yourself and that you haven't learned about people like this in the world. And then you get stuck in a relationship with them. And then eventually you find yourself stuck in it. And during the course of it, you might work through some of your fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, offering truth and love for them to move forward with you. And they're like, oh no, I got a problem with that. I think my idea of the dream life is to get in a relationship with people like you who don't know their worth and value. And maybe if you did learn your worth and value, you can go. I'll go find someone else and I'll replay this whole scenario, repeating this old pattern with someone else. I'll go find a different friend or a different romantic relationship because this is the way I like to do it. I like to seem like I'm this insightful, wise, nurturing person, get people in relationships with me, but then when it comes time where I have to do some work within myself to free myself from things that manipulate me, oh no, that's drawing the line. It was one thing for you to do some work within yourself, but, for me to be more just, fair, balanced, no. You can go. I'll go find someone. And then some people just don't want to be just and fair because it's this shadowy philosophy of life. It should be more about me, or I am just more about these things of the world, and I don't know why you won't stay in it. We have these things of the world. You should be happy. I'm happy. That's what drives and motivates me because I'm maybe not motivated and inspired to connect in with my more authentic, loving nature. And that's the free will choice they made. So some people detach from those people. They healed. They're inspired. They're moving forward in life victoriously, exchanging resources with other people in the world who are more on the same page as them because that's what they find just and fair and balanced and healing. And the other people are going to move forward with people in their life who are at whatever stage of life or emotional maturity level or whatever that they like. Let's go see what's coming up that people don't see coming. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy? And high vibe Taurus is about walking the talk. Shadowy Taurus can be trying to present yourself as a certain type of person in the world, but it is kind of maybe using your status or your image or your charm or your words or your looks or your body or whatever you got to try to get people to get in a relationship with you. But they're really kind of not who they say they are. It looks good by worldly standards, but, if someone, they're not really motivated and inspired to kind of do more equal give and take from love, they might work to maintain balance in a relationship, but it could be for an ulterior purpose. But what's coming up for the high vibe people? We have the Nine of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands, the Karma card, which is like the Judgment card, and the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Cups. And the reason that came out is because of the Five of Wands. Well, the fives can talk about change. So as you go through this process within yourself, to stand up for yourself, offer truth and love to people if people don't want to work together with you in a more just and fair and emotionally mature and balanced way, then you're going to stand up for your truth and they'll probably stand up for their truth. And you're going to keep putting in work and effort to maintain balance within yourself, to believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, and eventually from the Seven of Wands down to the Six of Wands, kind of not inspired to be in friendship or relationship with those people anymore. or to invest more in them anymore. From the Six of Pentacles, you were at the 7, but you went down to the 6. Just seeing the truth, Leo energy, also represented by the Sun card, is being illuminated to the truth that my truth is different than their truth. What I think is just and fair, how I want to move forward in life, how they want to move forward in life is different. So as you go through this process, because something was in the Five of Wands causing you conflict about how you wanted to move forward, what you were motivated and inspired by within yourself versus what they were kind of more motivated and inspired by within themselves, you are willing to change. And in the Nine of Pentacles, which also is Virgo energy, you are willing to become independent of some things you needed to become independent of. And some of the other people really could have a hard time with change. They could have a hard time becoming independent of things that manipulate them, which again can be being more about themselves, being more immature, more about the world, more competitive, seeing the truth. In High Vibe Virgo, you were willing to see the truth. And you did become independent of some things that kind of had a little bit of a hold on you. And then from the Five of Wands to the Eight of Wands, you'll work through letting go of that old way of looking at life that you used to think was living the dream, or how you thought your dreams were going to come into reality. And you move forward swiftly to call judgment. And I think judgment goes in your favor because life is about learning these lessons and becoming more independent. Just like we became independent of being a 15-year-old to be more like an 18-year-old. And we really did. I don't want to act like that or behave like that anymore. You really became independent of it. And then you became like an 18-year-old. And you kept doing that throughout your life. But like I say, some people just, they never really, all they learned was not to do certain things because people didn't like it. But they still maybe don't understand why they can't do those things. They didn't see how it's kind of immature. It's kind of more ego-based. It's more you-based. It's more being competitive, being selfish, being stubborn. And then in the Eight of Cups, it's walking away from the illusion. Again, the Eight of Cups down to the Seven of Cups. Not interested. And for some of you that are at the beginning stages of this, you can't imagine it ever getting to that point. But you will, because the more you keep being inspired to move forward in your truth, and they keep taking action in their truth, the more in the Judgment card that you see their truth is different than your truth. And if you want to be in a more, in relationships with people who are more independent, more emotionally independent, and High Vibe Seven of Cups of Scorpios, deep, meaningful relationships, some of these people aren't capable of being in a deep, meaningful relationship because they just don't see the truth. It's more about indulging themselves in relationships and how they benefit. And is it good for their ego or their image or their status or something? You know, and we can't make people see through the illusion of how those things get us caught up in those things. And when we think back to things that we used to indulge in and we're caught up in and we thought for sure were going to make us happy, you know, nobody could have talked us out of it either because we just didn't look at life that way. It was not our philosophy of life. And then sometimes, you know, we all got to go on that journey to learn those lessons the hard way. And some of these people, like we didn't at different times in our life, didn't listen to their intuition. And they didn't do this work. And they just thought, I don't have to. I can keep doing this. And then they kind of kept repeating the same pattern and probably feeling stuck. And until they keep doing it over and over and keep feeling stuck, and it's like, what the hell? Damn it. I got to figure out what the hell's going on here. Well, then maybe they'll do that work. But you did get to a place where you were like, what the hell? And you got inspired to figure out what the hell was going on. I want to get to the truth. And you could have started within yourself, because we can feel stuck, but we don't know why. And I don't want to blame the people I'm in a relationship with. And we also could think it's not them. But when we do this work within ourselves and we get more balance within ourselves and we're more inspired within ourselves, and then we offer that truth and love to some of the people we're in a relationship with, that's when we do kind of see the truth that, oh, I mean, this was good. I had to do this work within myself. But I also see now that I'm like, have done it, and I'm maybe even excited that, damn, I did this work. I worked through some shit in my life that used to cause me inner conflict and the pain or the heartbreak or whatever. And now I'm ready to move forward. And then you tell them, and they're like, oh, it's kind of like this card is just like, I don't know if I want to do that. and um and that's when, you get clear about your truth, and then the other people have to decide what their truth is, and as you keep moving forward, it kind of becomes more and more clear, that that isn't their truth, and that they are more inspired to be single, to indulge himself, have inner conflict, don't want to deal with it. And from your own life experience that kind of when, there's just consequences, what the karma card talks out about. I don't have to do anything or say anything. Is like built into the system. If we take action that's more immature, more petty, bossy, controlling, egotistical, it's all gonna come out in the wash in the end. And I don't have to be caught up in it. And I'm gonna become independent of it. And I'm gonna go have these new beginnings. And as you're moving forward in that kind of energy, there's other people in the world that have gone through similar life experiences that you now could be people that are in your life or that you're going to meet as you keep moving forward. And some of those people are like, is anybody ever going to come up the path of life? And you could be doing that now or at some future point. And yeah, other people, it's just like employers who had to let somebody go, or somebody retired, and they're like, oh my gosh, we know there's probably people out there in some bad jobs. Why aren't those people leaving those jobs and coming over and applying with us? you know? And eventually some people, and some of you could have been those people who came in and they're like, oh, thank goodness. Yes, you are someone we can move forward with. Because some of those other people kind of had a problem. Maybe with working together with people in a just fair way. Well, the same thing happens kind of in friendships and relationships, right? What's coming up? And the thing to know is when you're moving forward in high vibe energy, there's always going to be people who don't like it because you're not living your life the way they do. You're not manipulated by the things they're manipulated by. And they could think you are, I don't know, living wild and crazy just for the fact that you're being more independent and you're not conforming to the world and living your life these certain ways. It's like, I'm wishing no one ill will. I'm not doing anything outlandish. I'm just not caught up in the illusion like that. And then other people can just be competitive energy, shadowy energy in the world within yourself and outside yourself will always try to stop you from giving birth to something new, because that is like shadowy energy's job. And I think when you meet people and you get to know people, you will see who are the people who, it's like the next person that wants you to repeat this pattern. It's like, no, I've changed. And it could be a bummer because you could meet some people, because you can always meet. up in your row, you're moving forward, but you're always going to come in contact with people who might look attractive, appealing, whatever that you're attracted to, victorious and successful in some way, but that doesn't mean they are, have still learned some of the life lessons that you've learned, right? And I think you'll meet people that are loving and encouraging to you. And I think you'll meet people that want to be the next person to indulge in a friendship or relationship with you. And it's just being inspired to maintain balance within yourself, do equal give and take with people. If people seem a little immature or stubborn, take note of it. Uh, can you still work with some people and everything? Yeah. But you're just not going to invest more of your time, energy, and effort into those people. Thank you for showing me the truth of who you are. And yeah, we're not on the same page. And I'm going to keep focused on the more of the people in my life who are, and. Okay, what's coming up for people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? The King of Cups. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. Well, in shadow, the kings can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world. High vibe energy is motivated and inspired by love, and I view the King of Cups as Cancer energy. Everybody can try to present themselves in the world as being someone who's motivated and inspired by love, male or female, and some people really are. But there's other people who kind of wear a mask of being motivated and inspired by love, but the feminine figures talk about how they really think and feel. And emotionally, some people are more inspired by their ego, is what kind of more drives their life. Not truth and love and self-insight and self-awareness and growing and maturing themselves. And because some people are more motivated and inspired, like, I don't have to grow and heal and mature myself. I can wear this false mask and I know how to present myself as a certain type of person. But with some of the people in their life, they're always going to have people in their life who harness this energy in a more high vibe way, that want to be in friendship and relationship with them. But the shadowy people keep like, nope, nope, nope. Gonna keep wearing my false mask. I don't really have to invest in truth and love. And sometimes, they're kind of in their ego because they know other people in their life have love for them. Oh, I don't think you'll become independent of me. I don't, I think you'll keep indulging me. Well, they're going to have some people in their life that eventually are willing to see the truth. Offer them truth and love, and they're going to say, no, I don't know that I want to be more just and fair. I kind of like it being more about me. And just like you, they're going to have some people in their life who are going to leave. I deserve justice and fairness and equal give and take in a relationship inspired by love. And even though those people have some inner conflict about doing it, they are going to become independent of them. And as they do this work within themselves, it gains momentum and they're able to see the truth and no longer caught up in illusion about these people. They are not who they say they are. And some of those people will be confused, like, well, they always kind of gave in before, because they always give in. Whatever it is that kind of manipulates and controls them, which can be things within themselves and other people in their life, sometimes they could think of becoming independent of those things, but then they have inner conflict about becoming independent of those things, and they keep staying stuck and not wanting to see the truth. So they can't understand how other people work through these issues to free themselves. It's like because other people were willing to do that work just within themselves. look at their own fears, look at their own insecurities, look at their own self-limiting beliefs, and offer truth and love to those issues to heal. But you have to be willing to look at the truth. And there's some things these people don't want to look at within themselves and with the people they kind of align with. And what's probably going to end up happening, if they keep trying to manipulate people who they know are more motivated and inspired by love, the same scenario is going to play out over and over and over. And eventually, the people that are going to keep staying in their life are probably people who view life the way they do. Other people who are wearing a false mask, willing to be in friendship and relationship with them or hang out with them for their own reasons of how it benefits them and from their ego nature, worldly nature, but not really inspired by love. And then they might have inner conflict because the people they're in relationship, again, a shadowy relationship can be, well, you're supposed to love me and you're supposed to kind of indulge me. Well, now they're in relationships. Well, no, you're supposed to love me and you're supposed to indulge me. Well, no, you're supposed to change, or you're supposed to be more loving and nurturing. It's like, well, no, you're supposed to change and you're supposed to be more loving and nurturing. Well, no, it's supposed to be more about me. No, it's supposed to be more about me. For some. But for others, they'll just get in a relationship with someone who's more motivated and inspired to be in a relationship more for these reasons of the world. And if they're both on the same page, then that is a just and fair relationship, because that is what drives and motivates them. And I'd much rather have them in a relationship with someone like themselves. You already know that's not your truth and you didn't enjoy it. I'd much rather have them in a relationship with someone like themselves than trying to manipulate someone loving, because that's unjust and unfair. If they don't want to be more authentic and don't want to grow or heal and mature themselves, then they should be in relationships with other people who are on that kind of same emotional maturity level. And not interested in doing that either. Let them go live their life in peace and leave other people alone. They'll get like a worldly justice. I think the other people are going to get a more emotionally fulfilling, just, fair, balanced life and relationships, because they're not having to be in relationships with people where they have to, because that's live a life that's not their truth, or indulge people who they just feel are kind of competitive or immature or egotistical or very materialistically motivated or full of themselves. Every day you're not in a relationship with someone like that's a good day. Let them be in a relationship with someone else. So there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.